Hi everyone, welcome to our second Q&A session of the day with Scotiabank. Other than being one of our amazing platinum sponsors, Scotiabank is also a Canadian multinational banking and financial services companies headquartered in Toronto. So just as a reminder to the hackers we have here watching, if there's a question you would like to ask our guests here, please send it in the Q&A channel on Discord under the sponsors category and it will be asked. So today we're joined by Deanna and Lizzie. So could you both give a quick introduction of yourselves before we delve into the questions?
Liz, you want to take it away?
Okay, for sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Lizzie. I'm in my third year of my undergraduate degree in computing science from the University of Alberta. And this semester and over the summer, as well as this upcoming summer, I'm part of the Velocity program at Scotiabank. And currently, I'm working as a data science intern in Scotia Digital.
All right. Hey guys, I am Deanna and I'm currently an Ignition associate. And an Ignition is a new grad program for technology and I'm currently in it. I graduated in 2019 from Ryerson University with a biomedical engineering degree. So it's not your typical computer science. I have like a biomedical engineering degree, which is a pro and a con, and I'll talk about that a little bit later if we have the time to. Yeah, but that is about that's everything that I can think about that is kind of interesting about me. All right, back to you, Jill.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess to start off, what are the student opportunities at Scotiabank for some of our hackers here that you guys know of? And how was the recruitment process for you when you joined the company?
For sure, I could perhaps speak to that. So there's a lot of internship opportunities throughout Scotiabank in tech and also like business roles. The Velocity program in particular is focused on both tech and strategic functions, and there's terms, I think, every term of the school year for Velocity as well as all of the other internship opportunities. And I was if people would like more into the specifics of Scotiabank's current recruitment process for intern opportunities, I'd recommend that they reach out to Danielle Sue on LinkedIn or in the Discord or that kind of thing, because I know that since I applied to Scotiabank, the recruitment process has changed substantially. So I'd want everybody to have like the most up-to-date information on that.
Yeah, so why did both of you choose to join Scotiabank?
I think I'll start. So I honestly, what like, I'll be in all honesty, like Scotiabank, wasn't even on my list of places to apply to. But
Mhm.
upon, like finding out what Ignition is, and to be honest, I didn't know what Ignition was until I got my offer. I didn't know what it was, but you know what, like it seemed a pretty good. It seemed a pretty good option. So I took it. I'm a new grad. I'm like desperate for a job. So like not saying that like this is the worst offer that I've ever had, but like it was pretty good. And upon being here, like I realized that Scotiabank offers like even more. It's not just a bank. Like we have so many technologies available to us, and I'm really enjoying what I'm learning. And currently I am in the rotation program, so like I get to experience like a different taste of every position that there is. So that's one thing, the why I kind of chose Scotiabank. And also the other thing was the mentorship that is available to us. I have the opportunity to talk to like executives, um, CIOs and like the higher ups and directors. I get exposure and a lot of those. And not only that, we also have a ton of opportunity to learn, and it's very important for us, especially being in tech. Tech is always evolving. Like, we always have to keep up, and learning is part of that. So those are some of the reasons why I am in Scotiabank and why I chose Scotiabank and why I'm still in Scotiabank.
For sure.
I think I was applying for internships in my second year of university, and I was really excited about Velocity because it's like a program, which was really cool. And I think kind of similar to Deanna, I was like, I didn't really know that the banking industry was depending on technology in such a massive way. Like I sort of knew what quant finance is, and I was like, I'm sure, technology is being utilized, but I don't think I had an appreciation of like the full extent to which it is. And then when I applied to Scotiabank and I got an offer to be in Velocity as a software developer, and then this term as a data scientist, it just totally blew my mind about all the ways that tech is really changing the landscape of like the banking and financial industry. And that was really interesting to me for sure.
For sure. That sounds really exciting. So what's the most surprising thing or just anything that surprised you upon joining the company?
That's a good question. It's a thinker. Um, hmm. I think similar to what I just said, I guess, is that like I was just surprised by how pervasive technology
Mhm.
is throughout banking, and how much innovation there is going on, especially like in the realms of ML and automation and AI and stuff. Because maybe, when you go into a branch, you don't necessarily think about kind of the behind the scenes and all the tech that's going on there. So that was a really cool thing to be learning more about.
Mhm.
For me, I guess this is like a recent realization. For me, like in Scotiabank, there are so many supports, especially for women in tech, and one of them is our program called Ignites. They specifically provide support for women not only in tech and Scotiabank, but women in general. Because us women, like like when we have a family, well, you're gonna have to take maternity leave. Like we have a different like experience compared to male. And at Scotiabank, I found that there are so much support, especially for women, and I kind of like that. And I talk to different women leaders who I look up to, and they're very open to talk to me and inspire me, and like it just kind of give me inspiration and motivation to move forward. I know being in the tech space, being a woman, it is very intimidating. And like I hate to I was scared to admit it, but I am intimidated by men in the industry. But having that support, I think as women, like we have so much to offer. And us having each other's support, I think it's such a good thing. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that really shocked me, and I just recently realized this in the past month. So I wanted to share that with everyone.
Yeah, that's definitely very nice to hear, especially because, like obviously banking has its own reputation too with diversity. It's very good to hear that there are programs in place and processes in place to kind of guarantee that diversity and their guarantee support for that diversity. So kind of switching gears a bit, can you tell our viewers here a little bit about the projects that you're working on and what a typical day in your workday looks like?
Okay, I'll go first. So I am in my
Cool.
second rotation, and I am currently a DevOps engineering in the platforms engineering team. And what we do is we're a team of engineers who support other engineers in different in the department. So what I'm doing right now is, like the flow of money, like we're essentially like trying to automate that in a way. So like, from the client all the way to the database, calling the databases, the servers, and then all the way it gets to where it's a destination. It's a whole complex process. And it's so big, but I'm only working on a small piece of that currently. So we're basically automating the manual tasks that the business analysts do. It takes them like a couple hours to do, so now we're automating them and reducing them. So that's one thing. However, that project is slowing down a little bit, and I'm switching gears to learning more about pipelines. And I will have to admit that I don't know everything. So like the pipelines automating all of that, it's a part of, even I mean, I'm saying this for everyone, like even if you get hired in the future, like you're not going to know everything, and there's always going to be a learning opportunity. And what my supervisor said to me is that you learn while you also produce work. So just a little bit of advice, but that is currently what I'm working on.
Sounds
Awesome.
exciting. Yeah.
And I'm working as a data science intern right now in Scotia Digital, and my team is particularly focused on working with data science as it relates to digital marketing. So working with especially how you can, figure out what information you can give to digital marketing to figure out like what's the best way to recommend which products to which customers based on like the models that we've developed. So the model that I'm currently working on has to do with recommending products to existing customers at the bank, like saying, "Oh, this I think would be a great product for you to get based on your history, based on other similar customers' history." So that's been really exciting. I guess a typical day in my life for the past couple weeks has been doing some feature engineering. So looking around in all of our data sources and figuring out for our model what would be, what would be interesting information, what will be helpful information for the model to have. Prior to that, my first month and a bit, I was working on pre-analysis, so looking at like what data do we have, what do our customers look like that are in this model universe, and then coming up in the next few weeks, as the term ends, I'll be working on actually building the model with my supervisor. And yeah, totally, Deanna is so right. I certainly didn't know everything there is to know about data science walking into this role really at all, and I've been learning a lot as I've been going. And there's both a lot of like formal learning opportunities, so like access to LinkedIn Learning and Coursera, as one of my like development goals, and then also like the learning that you get just doing your daily tasks and conversing with the people on your team. So that's been really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Can you touch a bit more on the training and mentorship you've received in your internship?
For sure. So the cool thing with Velocity is that there's quite a bit of mentorship and a very like well-defined mentorship structure, which is really nice. So I've got one mentor who's in the Ignition program, which is the program Deanna is in. So there's somebody who are a few years ahead of where we are as undergrad students who have already graduated. And so that's a cool relationship to get advice like a few years down the line, like what to expect and how to approach the beginning of our careers. And then our manager, or my manager, acts as a mentor as well. So, I speak with her daily and I ask her questions, and then she's also able to provide me insights. And she also, as well as both related to like the work, but then also, related to career tips and advice like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also like to add on about the mentorship that I received. My experience is a little bit different from Lizzie's. Mine is a little bit more structured. I have 3 mentors in total. One is a director, one is an Ignition associate who graduated the program, and one is a senior executive. I think a senior vice president. So those are my 3 mentors. And on top of that, I do also mentor a Velocity student like Lizzie. So in that sense, like we get a sense of community, and there's a lot of exposure that you can get. And on top of that, not in terms of mentorship, but in terms of learning and nurturing, like I realized that all my managers was more focused on how I will develop and what my career will look like. So that is a really good thing. Like, they're not just so focused on what we're working on, but they're also concerned, or like, they care about me as an individual, like progressing through my careers, and they're always look out for me, which I truly appreciate.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a great place to be. So for, prospective students who want to join the company, do you have any advice for what kind of projects they should work on in order to stand out from other applicants? And maybe you can speak a bit about what experience you had coming into the company.
I could maybe give that question a stab. I know that I think what helped me was that I feel like, you hear this a lot from companies, just be yourself, whatever, but I think Scotiabank has really embraced that, like, in their recruitment processes and in their, like, application processes. Like, you have to do, in the interviews and the video interviews and stuff, and, like, in the Plum profile that I know that you have to create now as a prospective applicant, it's really about getting to know you as a person, because I think particularly hiring students, a lot of students are taking, like, really similar classes, doing pretty similar, academically, especially in undergrad. But so it's all about like how you stand out as a person, and not like not selling yourself as what you think a company would want to hear, but actually being yourself, and expressing who you are. And I know that so coming into Scotiabank the summer after first year, I was at a company here in Calgary, and I wasn't actually working in software dev. I was working in IT at like at the service desk, like when something happens to your computer and you email or you call in to figure that out. That's what I was doing, and helping with that. And I think that experience and some of the, projects I did there helped me as a software developer, because I was thinking like, okay, people are going to use this and I don't want it to break, because I saw what happened when software broke. That was an interesting, that was how my experience, I think, has helped me in my current roles at Scotiabank.
So for me, I've asked that question many, many times. So after I graduated, I was basically looking for a job, and I was thinking to myself, like, what can I do? Like, what project can I do? So like, they would finally hire me because I'm done of waiting. So I've kind of asked that myself, and you know what? Like, I've realized, like, Lizzie was right. Like, you have to be passionate about technology, and you have to be passionate about something. So for my experience, I developed a Shopify website because I was passionate about selling products, and the Shopify kind of had its own, um, I think it has its own customization that you're able to interact with. So I did that, but I'm not saying that everyone should create a Shopify. I'm telling everyone, do what makes you happy. Like, if making a game is what you're passionate about, do that, because at the end of the day, when you're in an interview, it will show it will show how passionate you really are with the project that you're talking to. And the more passionate you are, the more you will know about it. So ask yourself, like, well, what do you really want? What do if you do want to solve a problem, maybe create a solution using software, then do that. There are many other ways to incorporate tech. So it's a matter of not it's not a matter of what project you should do, but what project are you passionate about. And if you haven't figured out what project you're passionate about, I suggest just getting your hands dirty, like taking like little courses, and eventually you'll find your way there. You'll find something that is right for you. So I hope that is somehow helpful.
And
Yeah,
also, you're at a hackathon. Like the project that you complete this weekend at this hackathon, that's a project. That's amazing. And that's like a first step to like even more projects. But this like totally counts as well.
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely nice to hear that there's no like cookie cutter way into evaluating a candidate for this company. So how are kind of performance reviews conducted, or how's performance evaluated at the company?
Ooh, juicy
That's
question.
yeah, that is. Um, I guess like in Velocity, there's a midterm performance review. So I think I actually have mine in a couple weeks. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. So that's in a couple of weeks, and that's with your manager, and then they share that with the program managers of Velocity. And then at the end of the term, so like closer to in for this term, I guess it'll be in near the end of April. There's kind of a revisiting where you see like, oh, has progress been made, and that's where you find out about the return offer. And that the midterm evaluation is based on both your like day-to-day work as well as your development plan goals, which are kind of goals that are separate from your day-to-day tasks, but goals that you've taken on. So in my case, I'm working on some IBM courses about data science, and also like prioritizing networking at the bank by like having a certain number of coffee chats per month. And so then your performance is evaluated based on kind of a confluence of things with your manager, and then shared with the rest of the Velocity team.
Mhm.
Mine is different from Lizzie's. So ignition is different from velocity. Lizzie is in velocity. I'm in ignition. So for every rotation, there is 6 months, and we get a midterm review, which is a three month mark, and then a final review, which is at the 6 month mark. So I currently had mine. I think it was Thursday. And how it is basically is your supervisor will kind of assess you on the goals that you and him work together. So it's not like you're blindsided. So, and like these performance goals are just to keep you in check. Like you can't be stagnant at where you are, because you always want to be learning. And I feel like that is the purpose of your performance goal, and also to get feedback from the people you're working with, because if you don't get feedback, you don't know where to improve on or where to do more of. So that's what I think performance reviews are. But more than performance reviews, I feel like these are just like some of the steps to keep us in check. Also, they don't only look for like, oh, how much coding did you do, like how much time did you spend on this. They also look at like your like overall wellness, I would say. So like your attitude, like your ownership, how like, are you always are the person who's bringing like positivity into the team. So those kind of things are what they're looking for in terms of my performance reviews.
Yeah, it's super holistic as well. It's yeah, it just like Deanna said, it's not like they're counting your push pull requests. That's not the only
Oh
metric.
yeah.
It's totally about soft skills as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely good to hear. So would you say that you guys had any challenges or that upon joining the company or during kind of your work? And if you did, what are they?
I have a lot of challenges. I have like challenges upon challenges. I'm gonna be honest here. I came from a biomedical engineering background, and I took like only a few software courses. And then when I came, and I'm like, oh my god, there are so many files. Where do I start? So when you go to like an intro to software course, you have like like 4 files, 2 folders. But when I first joined my team, like holy, there was like 50 folders, a million files, and I'm like, I don't know where to start. So that was one of my challenges, and also just learning everything that there is to keep up. So that was a big challenge. And for me, the solution, my current solution for that is just to keep going. Like there's no stopping. You just have to keep going, and you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable asking questions. You have to be comfortable asking people for help. You have to be comfortable not knowing everything. So, just being in that uncomfortable situation, which I always am, kind of is an advantage or a strength.
Totally. Yeah, I think definitely the asking questions, because I know like sometimes I would be a little bit scared. I'd be like, if I ask a question, they'll be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what she's doing. But that's ridiculous. Like everybody knows you're a student or you're at the very beginning of your career, so you're here to learn. And I found that people are super receptive to answering questions and like providing support where needed. So that's been really, really nice. And I think, yeah, same as Deanna, I was like in school with our data in my database class, like maybe 1,000 customers in the like data set they give you for class, maybe on a good, like that's a big data set, right? And I'm dealing with like data sets of like millions and millions of rows, and I was a little overwhelmed. I was like, I don't even know where to start with all of this. So I actually said that to my manager. I was like, I'm not quite sure how to approach this. There's just so much going on, and we were able to like talk out a bit more of a game plan. So realizing that it's totally not just okay, but like you have to ask questions has been a very liberating experience. It's like this is encouraged to ask questions, and people will be really helpful, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be weird to go into like such a huge company and already know the ropes to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's also like acronyms. It's like, oh, what does ABC mean? And I'm like, am I supposed to know that? Like, is it a common term? So like sometimes like some are common terms, and I'm like, well, I feel kind of stupid, but you have to ask the question. You have to know, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like joining a bigger organization, you're eventually gonna come across those ABC abbreviations.
Yeah. And then, it's definitely getting over that initial fear of asking. And then once you get over that initial fear, it's okay after that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So kind of on the same opposite wavelength of the challenges questions, of how would you define success at a company, and what does success look like?
That's really interesting, because I think the cool thing about the way that we're evaluated, like both in velocity and in ignition, is, as I mentioned, like as Deanna mentioned, it's like also about your AOO, which is, speaking of acronyms, that's a really important big one, like attitude, ownership, and opportunity. So I think, from my understanding, so far, success has to do with delivering like solidly on the tech that you're working on, and making sure that the project is not just usable for the short time that the one person who is working on it is there, but like is scalable and can be used in continuity, and that the when you're presenting it, you do so like with a lot of AOO. And I think something interesting I've noticed is being kind of on the tech side of a bank, so having both tech and business like so integrated, is that success is also that you're able to take the tech project you're on or that your team is on, and that when you're presenting it to stakeholders in the business, you're able to do it in a really accessible way. So it's not like whatever project you're on is totally black boxed, and somebody who's not really proficient in the technology that you're working with won't be able to understand what you're talking about. It's like you have to be able to explain this project to everybody who's invested in it within the bank or customers.
For me, I like having like a structured success in terms of like being in the workplace. So there's 3 things for me that I would consider to be successful. One is to be able to do your work and contribute to your team. Second is to develop yourself personally and professionally. And third would be able to contribute to the community. So like, being here in cmd-f and like influencing other women, that is for me contributing to the community. And then lastly is another thing I'm just adding is just to be being happy in the work that you do. You don't necessarily have to be comfortable, because sometimes work can be challenging, but you'd want yourself to be happy. So that what success for me is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we just have like a couple minutes here left, so I want to end off asking a bit more about the culture. So what's the culture like at Scotiabank, as well as what kind of interesting office traditions or events have you guys attended?
So I'll start first.
Go for it.
I have been in Scotiabank in June 2020, so I've never been in the office before. I've been remotely working for like what 9 months now. Culture is very, very relaxed, I would say, and it's a perfect fit for me because you don't want to be. I don't want to be working like a suit and tie. Although sometimes you have to, because you'll be facing clients. But I do love it in terms of culture. We have like socials. I led like a social before. There are opportunities here and there, and Scotiabank is all about building connections within each other, within the organization and also outside the organization.
Yeah, I think same boat as Deanna. I did my term over the summer, starting in May 2020, and then this one I started in January, January 2021. So same thing. I've never been in the office. This has been, Scotiabank Toronto Calgary edition, with my experience at Scotiabank. But I think totally the same. I found that both with Velocity, which is a group of students working all across the bank, and then we have like weekly calls and like weekly workshops, and then on Friday over lunch break we all played a game of Among Us or Scribblio or something. Like there's a lot of community within the Velocity program itself, and I'm still connected with people I was working with over the summer in Velocity, and that's been really special. And then on my own team, I think particularly since like the pandemic began, there's been an even like increased effort to like make sure that there's fun like cahoots and stuff every few weeks. So my team has been playing a lot of virtual Family Feud, which has been really fun, and just totally it's totally indicative, I think, like Deanna said, of Scotiabank's culture overall, is to be a very open and fun workplace, and accepting, and a place that you want to be, not just to be coding, but actually to be like building those connections in as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very like fun culture to be in. And then we are coming up here short on time here, so that is all the questions we have for our session. Thank both of you so much for joining us and taking 30 minutes out of your Saturday to join us at our hackathon. And we hope for the hackers who are viewing the stream that you also took away something from the session as well.
Thank you so much, Jill.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Jill. This is awesome, and thanks to all our viewers out there. We can't see you, but we appreciate you.
Yeah, you'll be able to watch this on Twitch after. And yeah, you guys can hop off whenever you want.